RPGers, game masters, and such. I'm going to talk about the assassin class in OSR. Now, you may or may not allow it, and I have, and I don't have a problem with it. I just think that there's certain things you kind of do to make it, I guess, more usable or user friendly or group friendly is really what I'm trying to say, because it is kind of a loner class in a sense that its jobs are loner. Now, you could play this essentially one DM and one player character, and it'd probably be a whole lot of fun. I have not done that, would love to give that a try sometime. But for all practical reasons, I'm going to be talking about it as a cooperative play, part of a group kind of situation. So I am using Swords and Wizardry rulebook. This is kind of my go-to for doing this thing. I know that OSE, which is the old school essentials, are now out, and everybody likes those. I use it. I'm starting to think like they're all kind of the same. They're kind of like house rules versions of White Box, right? So Swords and Wizardry, for those that don't know or haven't used it, it's essentially White Box, which was the original, OD&D version with 3 little brown books, and it's kind of like what I would like to call streamlined advanced Dungeons and Dragons, right? So it works for me, and what works for you is great. Now, the stuff I'm going to show you can work for any OSR kind of game using an assassin. Just kind of letting you know. You just augment as you do normally when you're a dungeon master to make it fit for your group or fit for your game. So looking at the lines or the explanation of what an assassin is in I guess this is not White Box, I'm sorry. It's Swords and Wizardry. Assassins are a rare subclass of the thieves, and actually they're really hard to meet all the standards. Now, if you're doing 3d6 straight down or 3d6 and you can move your rolls around, they have to have 13 or higher in dexterity, strength, and intelligence to be an assassin. So the idea of getting a 13 and higher in 3 different classes, if you're doing straight 3d6 rolls, is actually kind of hard. They're a hard class to actually become. So just kind of let you know. They're not real strong. They're not 1d8 as far as hit dice, but they are 1d6, about the size of what a cleric would be, right? They're not 1d4 like a thief. They're a little tougher than them, right? They can only have leather armor, and they can use a shield now and then as part of their cover or whatever they're going to be using. But they're going to have the ability to do certain things that other classes can't do, because that's what makes them special, right? And this actually looks like a Death Stalker or something like this. This little guy right here. Death Creeper. What's that? Death Creeper? That's what he looks like. He's really cool looking as far as an illustration goes. They're supposed to be of neutral or chaotic alignment. And I don't think they can be of chaotic alignment, although they're doing pretty evil stuff by killing things. But if they're part of a guild, and that's the concept, they're part of a guild in order to fit in cooperative play, that they have to follow some kind of law or order. In this case, it'd be the law of the Assassin's Guild. So they have to have some kind of hierarchy, or they're just an indiscriminate killer. It's not a serial killer class. It is an assassin class. You have to go take out the head of the guard because they have a ring where they're putting a bunch of the townfolk into slavery or something like that, and you're getting hired to go. There's a bunch of different ways you can play this, essentially. I had a religious order that was actually hiring an assassin to go take out this other group that had an evil person. So you can have some fun with this. It's not necessarily just a one-track situation, okay? So when you create these things and you're thinking about how you want to use, I don't use chaotic alignments in my game because I think it's too weird. If it's all chaos and they're all chaotic alignment characters, they'll just kill each other off, and that's not really corporate play. So I really stress the fact that you have some kind of order to your play, and that's kind of just the way I do it, but everyone teaches his own, right? If it works for you, have fun, right? They do get thieving skills, which are, they don't really start getting them to 3rd level, and they're what is supposed to be for a thief class. Now, I don't use this chart. I find it not cumbersome. I mean, I know it's granular. It does the thing. It does you're using, D100 dice rolls for some of this, and obviously 3d6 rolls or what are d6 rolls for parts of this. I've been totally adapting to 1d6 skill checks, and so I would just have them essentially three levels under or 2 levels under, whatever they say, compared to what a normal thief would have. So they would end up starting off with the thief abilities that's seen, right? So we go back. Thief abilities, which are normally seen, but they're not going to progress as fast as a thief would, okay? So that's what I would do, but teach his own, right? I do have a 1d20 system for doing thief skills, and it's on my webpage. And if you want to have something that's a little more granular, or gives you a little more swing, or whatever you want to call it, by using a d20 roll, and then I have the race bonuses all built in, and then I give a couple examples of this. I find even this to be more complicated than what it needs to be when they're doing thief skills. So I pretty much stick to strictly like a D6 thing right now because it seems to really work for my games with the people I'm playing with. I think they adopt it and but only the thief really gets any of this, and then the assassins get it too. But like I said, there'll always be 2 or 3 levels behind depending on how you want to play it. So a couple of things that they have, and I actually haven't seen it in my games used a whole lot, is the disguise technique where they can dress up. And basically the concept is they can assimilate into any kind of social strata, any kind of like scenario surroundings that they kind of look undetected, look like common ordinary folk. They're facing the crowd. And it kind of goes to this thing how you can do this whole thing, and obviously like they give you percentages and all sorts of stuff, and you can figure out how much. I mean, if the person's role playing it, describing exactly what they're doing, you might give them a clearance on it, or someone walks over and you might let somebody, let's say the town guard's talking to them, make them roll a saving throw, or make them roll below their intelligence to see whether or not they pick up on the fact that this is someone in disguise. So, or what you could do is have the assassin roll. And the assassin roll, I mean, this would be like charisma is like their interaction. They have to roll below their charisma to see whether or not they are effective in passing off as something. You can have fun with this any way you see fit. Like I said, it's really about the rulings and certain things, unless the rules when you're playing this kind of a situation, because you want them to be in control of their character. That's what it'll be fun, right? So disguise, like I said, I haven't really used that as much as I would love to use it. Like I said, if I had a one playing character, one DM situation, I would use it a whole lot. The other one too is poison. Now poison I have used, and poison I have it very, very, very laid out in this little tiny parameter like this on what they can or cannot do with a poison. They can't walk around with jugs of poison splashing it on people because you're just going to get caught and look stupid, and that's just not going to work. It doesn't make sense. So. And likewise, no other character. I don't let fighters use it, clerics use it. Anybody else can use poison but an assassin. They're skilled at it. And they give a nice little example of a fighter coats his sword with some kind of toxin, and chances are he may rub his eyes or nick his finger. He doesn't really know how to handle it properly. So there's a high chance of them killing themselves using it. But assassins, they won't do it because this is what they've been trained to do. Okay? And I'll give a whole list of things with poisons coming up and how it works. Thieving skills, we already talked about that. They're behind, what they say, 2 levels below a thief. Backstabbing, they always get the backstab bonus if going from behind. Thieves only get it if it's on the surprise move. It's before initiative roll. That's the only time they get it, one time. But they get to use it all the time. Instead of everyone gets a +2 from behind, they get a +4 behind it, and they always get the extra damage indicated. So, and then that has its incremental climbs as well. And there's an established skill, so they get orders to do certain things. You can have so much fun with this when it does role-playing stuff, or you can say, that's one way you can actually incorporate into cooperative play, is the fact that this is an assassin. You're working with these fighters. They have to get him to his target, which is Lord Brentford over on the keep on the Borderlands. They have to take him out because he's really not that. He's actually, from what all people can tell, he's actually a doppelganger, and he needs to be extinguished, but he's going to make it look like he's... So you can have some fun with this if you play these things right. So that's something to think about. So, it makes it a lot of fun. Let's talk about the poison. Poison, it's weird, right? So it had to purchase, and it has to be done underground, from an underground alchemist. No one has like poisons on the side of their thing in a town. That's could be kind of highly illegal because it attracts bad company and bad customers, and someone could just take a vial of poison and dump it in the waterway, the big well in the center of town, and kill everybody in town. So nobody wants poison in their town. So this has to be underground. Seamus McClure is our alchemist that shows up occasionally and sells illegal stuff, right? Illegal fireworks or whatever. Anyways, it's expensive. 1,000 gold pieces for one vial that has 6 uses in it. And actually it's 6 little vials in a leather holder. So that's kind of how I have it. It's a special holder so it doesn't break open in your backpack and spill all over your stuff. That would be a horrible thing, right? But you can have 2 different types, and you have to choose what you want ahead of time. Fast acting, which is once you get it, it kills you in 1 to 6 rounds. So it's a 1d6 roll to see how long it takes for that victim to die. Or slow acting, which is 46 hours. So you can poison someone with their food or something like that, and you have to roll to see how long it takes for them to go down. And that's actually kind of harder to find out who killed them and how. So it depends on your scenario, right? Like I said, it's illegal. If you get caught with poisons, you're immediately incarcerated. So you're going to be taken in for questioning and everything. Let's talk about the dosing. One dose can kill one human-sized target or smaller. Okay, so this is not something you're going to spend shooting, a goblin. It's a waste of money. So you have to have a reason for using the poison, right? If you have a larger target, let's say you're fighting ogres, you get stuck up a tree and you want to start firing down arrows on them, it's going to take 2 shots with an arrow, and it takes Windy 3 times longer for the thing to take an effect if it's a fast poison. So if you roll a 1, it's going to take the normal amount of time. But like anything, you never know. It's a randomness, a chance, the dice roll. That's what makes the game fun. You're going to take out a giant. Say there's a giant out in the wilderness that you're going to have to go try to kill, and then it's going to take all your doses, so you're going to have to find a way to make sure you get all of them into him. So that'll be kind of interesting to figure out how they would figure that out as an assassin. And it takes much longer for them to take place because it's a slower metabolism, larger being, right? Some monsters, dragons, etc., are no effect. The biology is too different. It's not going to affect them. So I kind of put that like that so that it's not used all the time for everything. And you can decide, you're walking to a beholder. You can't, poison in a beholder. It's not going to work. It doesn't affect them, right? And like I said, it's DM discretion on these things. Let's talk about specialization of the weapons. So if you have a dagger and you're going to poison your dagger, you're not going to sit there in the middle of the field, take a little vial of poison, start pouring down the side of the blade, let's get it ready to go, while arrows are flying overhead. It doesn't work like that, okay? So what you're going to do is have to have a special weapon. I call it a wet scabbard, where the poison's actually at the bottom. And what you're going to do is you're going to puncture the thing when you slide the dagger all the way down, like you jack it all the way down, and slides over, and then you coat the end of the dagger for poisoning, right? It's kind of fun. Or you can have this quiver that has these little side pockets around the thing, and when you go to actually use the arrow, you have to push it down, puncture the little vial, get the arrowhead in, and then pull it out, and then you can use your poison arrow, right? Like I said, very contained in its use. You only have 6 shots with this thing. So you're going to make sure you really want to be able to hit your target, make sure you get all the bonuses properly. Like shooting from behind with a +4 with the bow, that you have a dexterity bonus and everything like that. You're more than likely going to hit your target, so therefore that'd be a good time to use it. So this becomes kind of like a situation where hard choices are made, but hopefully smart choices are made at the same time, okay? So that's going to work. There's other things that taken into account with the assassination skills. Number 1, let's talk about that attack from behind. So thieves get double damage if you attack from behind. At level 5 to 8, it's tripled, and level 8 above, it's quadrupled. The same thing is going to apply to an assassin, except they always get those bonuses when they're coming from behind. That's what makes that such an interesting character. They have a certain skill. Knowing how to attack from behind is one of them, right? They're an expert in the coup de grace, where they, let's say there's always this cleanup. The wizard comes in and sleeps everybody, right? And there's like about 12 sleeping orcs on the ground or something. Let's just play, right? Okay. We don't want them coming up from behind after they wake up. So that's the job of the assassin. Cha-chink, cha-chink, cha-chink. So, and without stirring them, waking them, whatever you want to do, that's one of their gifts, right? It's like a weird gift. Let's say you have someone that's all the way down and they're going to, one of your comrades are going down, they're dying, and let's just take them out the rest of the way. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you gotta have some fun with this character, right? When using a poison dagger on a sleeping target, that'd be preferred, right? If all your stealth checks pass, like you walk into the bedroom, everything's kind of good, no one sees you there, and you're undetected, because you know exactly where to apply that poison at the right whatever. Death is instant. There's no 1d6 round roll. You've killed them, right? So that's makes it that's the assassination, and that requires poison to do so properly. That's kind of how otherwise you're gonna have to adjudicate as a dungeon master more or less on how you want to see how the damage is inflicted. You might say, it'd be the same as a backstab from behind, so it's double damage or quadruple damage that you're coming down, but you can figure that out. But I was thinking assassination is like you're doing with some poison, taking them out, right? You can't carry more than 6 doses of poison. Like I said, I always say there has to be a specialized container to hold them all, and you can only have one of them. And if you have more than that, the glass vials, because they're little kind of glass vials to keep them from reacting with something like the leather on the outside or something like that and becoming weakened or not effective, that they can crack and bust open in your backpack, and then when you reach in to go grab them, lo and behold, you just cut yourself and there's the poison, make a saving throw. So that kind of sucks. So the idea is just carry 6. You only get 6. So every so often they have to replenish their store, have to go back and buy some more, talk to Seamus McClure and get some more over here on the side. That's what makes it fun, is that they have a reason to go back into town to get more of what they need, right? And there was also, this came up in one of my games with Lanwion. He wanted to make something called a Fire-Shire, which is, he wanted caltrops and all these other things, but he wanted to have an incendiary device. And I said, this is actually kind of fun. You can only carry 4 of these. Once again, a specialized container to hold them. They look like the holy hand grenades of Antioch or something like that from, in the Mighty Ponthos Holy Grail. But the idea is, like, you carry them. If you have more than that, when you're carrying them and something happens, you get knocked over or you get attacked, there's 25% chance of an accidental explosion. So the idea is to only have 4. I mean, you can carry more than that, but you could blow up and kill the rest of your party. It's up to you. Anyways, they're expensive. Last resort kind of thing. 1,000 gold pieces each. So, I mean, you save up a lot of money. You want to spend it. This is something you can spend it on, right? Illegal. You cannot have these things in town. So once again, Seamus McClure has got to hook you up for one of these things. And then there's remember, it's a homemade alchemist in the back room. We're sitting down there in some cave somewhere making this up. I use a 1d4. If you roll a 1, it explodes on you when you go to use it. It does damage to everybody. And if you have more in your backpack, it's going to blow them up too. So there's a risk in having one of these things. It's a bad risk, but there's a risk. Another one is if you roll a 2, it doesn't do anything. Okay? But if you roll a 3 or a 4 on a 1d4, you are successful. And what this does is not only successful, you don't even have to throw a roll. You just immediately are going to hit your target. Right? So it's just you lobbed it. Okay? If you roll a 3 and a 4, you hit your target. It does 5d6 damage in a 20-foot diameter at your primary target. It's such a fun thing to play. It's a nice little, because no one gets a fireball, but a wizard, I got a fireball. It's a little fire shower, which sort of fun. We've used it in the game, and Mike was playing Lanwion and used it to set a booby trap in case someone come up from behind. Fortunately, he used 2 of them, wired them up, and then what happened was they both blew, and they caused a cave-in. You can have so much fun with something like this. It's ridiculous. So this is my take on the Assassin for old school Renaissance, or how would you say, revival type of D&D playing. It's fun. It adds a little spark to the whole thing, and I think that, if you do it properly, you can actually control them so they're not just doing all the killing. It becomes more of a smarter, not harder character to play, and I think that people can appreciate it. With that, that's all I have to say. Hopefully you have a fantastic day.